Welcome back to Bull Boys Pod episode 22. Uh, big week in sports. Huge game, Michigan and Ohio State, and then game of the week, Liverpool and City. So me and Steve are going to get into that. Then we will talk about OpenAI. Start off game of the week, City, Liverpool. Liverpool eke out a draw with the Trent Alexander-Arnold goal in the 80th minute. Holland scored earlier. Nice strike on his left foot. Siebes, welcome to the pod. How are you doing?
It's been a fairly good weekend. Can't complain about much except for those cheating fucks in Ann Arbor, pulling out another one with the help of the referees. But we'll get into that later, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll touch on that for sure. You like when we're talking about game of the week candidates. You mentioned Michigan TOSU, and I thought it was like Michigan State, and I didn't. It just didn't register. But you're right. It was like
The
clearly the
Ohio
biggest game of
State.
the week. Huh. Yeah, Ohio State.
It's
Yeah,
the Ohio State
the,
University.
the Ohio State exactly. So
That's why
I'm
it's
not blaming you,
TOSU.
but we have to touch on it because you're right. It's probably the biggest sporting event over the last weekend for sure. Um, but City Liverpool was no joke too for let's say the other non-American part of the world.
For like 95% of the world. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So what were your thoughts before I had a couple notes on City Liverpool on as a whole and what it means for them going forward. But what did you think about the game?
So I thought the quality of the match really suffered because for some reason the Premier League matchmakers decided it was a good idea to make one of the most important matches of the year the first match immediately after an international break. And you could tell, like, especially I've been hearing this narrative a lot, and I kind of agree. The South American players weren't like really at their best. You could tell. I think there's a lot of talk about Allison, how he was up and down in the match, and I think it's gonna be a thing with the Brazilian players and the immediacy returning from this disastrous few international breaks they've had. I noticed it last international break with our players at Arsenal, that the Brazilian players really seem to be at a suffering morale-wise for the first match or 2 that they were back, and I just couldn't understand that reasoning why it had to be then, and as a result, I thought it was a very choppy match. I thought, yeah, I didn't think it was the highest quality. It kind of let people down. I mean, it ended up being kind of exciting, but yeah, I just Liverpool are so resilient. That's pretty much my main takeaway from the match.
Yeah, totally. And to your point, before we get into the game proper, your point on the travel for South American players was like a lot of people were talking about, and it actually made me think like there needs to be a study done on travel, like cross continent travel and injury risk, because I feel like these guys who are doing the exact same thing or like are going to Asia for like Asia conference or whatever it needs, and then they're coming back. Like flight is not good, even if you're on these private things who have like pressurized cabins. It's not good for you, and I wonder what it does for your muscles. That's what I really want to. My point is like I wonder what it does to the muscles, all that traveling or extra travel, and also jet lag. A lot of different things, just different air. I don't know. So let's go into the game. So I mentioned Alexander Arnold with the 80th minute equalizer. Before the game, it should be noted KDB was injured. Robertson, Thiago, and Bahetic didn't make it for Liverpool. So you could say both squads are now full squads or a full
Yeah.
95, like 95% squads. But something that Gary Neville said that I actually kind of agree with is a lot of teams do well at the beginning of the season because it's like there's good weather and no rain and it's sun, like the sun is out. And when it comes to November and December, when it starts to rain and snow and like it's really cold in England, you see teams kind of crumble. Arsenal were probably uh, the worst victims or of it, or the worst, most guilty of it. But now we'll see who's really in it for sure. And Liverpool made a point today that they were really in it. It was for, I believe, I looked at the weather. It was like 38 degrees or 37 degrees. It's pretty cold, man. Like playing in soccer, and that is like you start developing like cold snot and stuff, and you just spit it out, and it's just not. I'm not even like a pro soccer player, and it's not fun playing in Oregon and sometimes in the rain stuff. So to the game, City looked well oiled. Um, every pass hits in stride, and I think that's something that's underrated about them. Like the ball never loses its momentum. It always like even if it hits someone, it's always in stride and it goes back to the next person in stride. And I think it's an underrated aspect of passing. If you see if you played soccer too, right? In ASO, you remember like it's
Of course,
it's
yeah.
tough to hit the pass in stride on time and not to get intercepted. Like there's so many ways you can get intercepted, right? You surely you agree with that, right? And so
Yeah,
I
of
think
course.
one of the reasons, if I can digress, is because why Ozil was so good is because all of his passes were like perfectly in stride for his forwards, and so they could score. That's why I liked it, watching him play. But Man City, the entire team does it, and it was like that. And even if they don't, like Haaland and Alvarez were pretty wasteful today. They could have easily, I think, put it ahead 2-3 before Liverpool with that equalizer. But I think a draw is pretty fair. We'll get into that later. Liverpool, Jones for Gakpo was interesting. Luis Diaz was on the bench, probably for the reason you mentioned, Siebes, the cross country travel, cross
Mhm.
Atlantic travel. No Endo. Nunez was typically wasteful in big games and very dicey from Allison. Okay. What do you think? Anything else?
Yeah, I don't really like Julian Alvarez in the midfield in these big matches. You can get away with it against lesser competition, but it's out of position for him. When you look at where he plays with Argentina, he plays up front with Messi. Like, it's just you're asking a forward a lot. Like when you're asking him to cover as much ground as
Yeah.
necessary with a midfielder. And so I've been reading a lot of complaints about him, and I think while it's justified, it's a bit unfair because Pep has to know this is going to happen. Like he's a young forward. He's not really there in terms of the football IQ, uh, needing like understanding the spaces he needs to fill. So I think like especially in the first half, I noticed it was pretty open, and Liverpool were easily able to get out and get into City's half, and not really. They didn't create too many chances out of it, but they were threatening at least for the first third of the game, I'd say. Um, but mostly, yeah, my takeaway, like I said, is just Liverpool are so resilient. Like it didn't really look like there was going to be an equalizer for them. And then they found the moment of like the magic moment to equalize, and it was impressive. I read a stat that this was like the sixth consecutive Premier League away match that Liverpool conceded first in, and they've taken 11 points from those losing positions, which is pretty outstanding when you consider like that's basically a draw or a win when they're conceding on the road most of the time. So Jurgen just does a really good job, like getting the most out of his side. I think, especially in these high leverage away matches.
Okay. I have one question for you. Quick fire question on the game, and then we'll do three questions about the outcomes of this game in general. So, a big point of talk or controversy was that Trent Alexander Arnold was guarding Doku, as you know,
Yeah, of
and
course.
Doku is very dynamic. He had a great game today. Yeah, you standout game from him. And so one thing is, if you look at the game, Doku was very good at getting on the outside and cutting towards the baseline race, so to speak. And Trent was supposed to gamble and like essentially shade him towards the middle, where then Liverpool would like crunch like a sponge kind of, and then
Yeah.
kind of take all the passing options out. And so some people would say that Trent got cooked the entire night, and some would say he had a great game. What did you think he? What was the your outcome? I mean, besides the goal defensively.
I mean, it's a strange thing because I feel like it's known that he's a risk in that back position, but like when you consider all that he's able to do offensively, it feels like it's kind of a trade-off you have to take because I don't know that they get the equalizer. I mean, it was a pretty nice strike from him. So I think it's something that Jurgen is well aware of, and he just understands the gamble. But yeah, I mean, especially in the first half, City were like spamming down his side. It was pretty funny. They were just continually attacking it nonstop, and it worked out, I guess, for one goal. But I think at the end of the day, if it worked out with Liverpool getting a pretty important draw away at the Etihad, I feel like Jurgen's belief in Trent is ultimately proven correct.
So that leads to my second question. I only thought Liverpool were one season away and maybe one or two players away, key players away. Do you think that they're going to contend with us this year?
Yes, I said
So
that
okay,
earlier this season too, though. Yeah.
okay, looks good for them now. And then last question quickly: Arsenal get a late winner from Havertz, who kind of proves the haters wrong. I was watching that game and I was saying this just needs like Brentford or sorry, like, last year, like all these great games we had last year, Bournemouth last year. Um, so I was hoping for that, and I was gonna be. I knew that if they tied or lost, it just ruined my day after watching City and Liverpool right before that. And it's like this is
Yeah.
just great for Arsenal. We can really come out well, and they finally did it. And Havertz was the guy to do it. What do you see for us as that result from City Liverpool was a draw?
I mean, it was a huge win for us. Havertz really made a pretty brilliant run. It was really nice. And I was really happy for him. I mean, people have been so toxic when they're talking about him. It's like I think Arteta has a better idea of what his team what he wants his team to be than people on Twitter do. So like I was kind of happy that it was Havertz who got that moment. It will probably kill some of the toxicity for a bit. But it was kind of a lifeless match for a lot of the match. I felt like with Arsenal, like and it feels like that's been the case in a few too many matches this year. But I mean, at the same time, they're pulling out tough wins in a way they haven't in years past. So that's growth, I suppose.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, that's it for soccer. But as I mentioned, Michigan, Ohio State. So tell us why you're salty. Seems when I mentioned it, you said you're going to be very salty. So tell us why.
Well, the number one reason is I just don't like Michigan. I think they're classless in all athletics. They employ a man who assaulted another man on television as their basketball coach, and he basically got a slap on the wrist. And they're cheaters. So yeah, I don't like them. But also, there were two
Wait,
really agreed.
can I butt in
Yeah,
first, really quickly?
yeah,
So is this Michigan hate like in the last 5 years, or were you
yes.
from your youth a Ohio State person and you always hated
No,
Michigan? Okay,
it's
it's the last
actually
five
I
years,
actually used to root for
but
Michigan in the
because you
big
don't like
games.
Izzo, right? Or you don't like Michigan State?
I no, I love Izzo. Izzo is probably one of my favorite coaches in all of sports.
I mean,
It's
that's what I
hard
meant to
if you like
say.
college basketball. Yeah, I
But did you
well, I
like
used to
Michigan
like both
State?
of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I respect Michigan State immensely. Um, I probably didn't like them as much when I was younger because they beat Wisconsin a lot and it pissed me off. But as you grow older and you realize like the class act that Tom Izzo is, you become a huge fan of his. But that's the other school that's terrible in football right now, so we don't have to talk about them. But with Michigan, it's just it feels like their fan base is very cult-like, and it's like they refuse to accept facts. They think they have this big victim complex where just because people are writing a story about their coach being involved in a cheating scandal, they send him death threats, like, to reporters. So it's like at a certain point, enough is enough, and I don't know how anybody could tolerate that school. I just think if you didn't go there, you have no reason to like them at this point in time because they just have turned themselves into not just villains but scumbags.
So, what does this mean for the? Obviously, I saw the AP poll today. Washington moves into 3, Oregon moves to
Mhm.
5. So, um,
We're set up
is
really
there?
nicely next week with with they're essentially playoff games because Michigan will probably beat Iowa as much as I'd love for Iowa to beat them in a ridiculous game that it's so out of the realm of possibility just because Iowa's offense is so poor. Then you have Bama versus Georgia, and if Bama somehow beats Georgia, then things get really complicated. But then Oregon Washington is de facto playoff game. Whoever wins that game is going to the playoff, like regardless. I feel
Yeah, I'm going to be watching that one. That'll probably be our game of the week. So,
Friday, yeah, it's a good game of the week.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll talk about it. Yeah. So, thank you for that football input. I was just curious because I saw it. I
Oh,
watched
but
like
I
the
yeah,
last quarter. You have
there
one
were
more thing to
2
say?
really bad yeah, 2 really bad referee,
Sure.
fuck ups that I feel had a big impact on the end of the game. I mean, Michigan still did their Michigan thing and kind of beat Ohio State down, and that maybe was, like, the deciding factor in terms of play on the field, but there was this one touchdown that Michigan was gifted in the first half where I'm fairly certain the receiver didn't have possession of the ball, and he actually lost it, and it was an interception. And then there was on the game deciding interception, I am fairly certain the safety did not end up completing the process of the catch. It looks like it hit the ground, and the referees barely looked at it. And instead of saying the call stands, because it was borderline, if you said it stands, it means you couldn't overturn it. The referees were like, "We confirm the call on the field is confirmed," which means they had evidence that it was a good catch. And I was like, This is just why college football sometimes sucks because the referees are they have such a low standard for how you become a college referee. I feel,
It's unfortunate. I have a big
yeah.
problem with referees in general. Uh,
Well, yeah.
my opinion, that's one thing that AI should replace ASAP is
My number one
getting
pet peeve, bro.
refereeing. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like you have one job, you have one fucking job to do. Like do it right, and there's no
Yeah.
excuse for you at this point. Okay, I think that's it for sports, the footballs, so to speak. Um, okay, Steve, anything else?
Football and football. No, that's
Football
it.
and football. That's a good segment. Like just like
Yeah.
Bool Or Bust. We're trademarking these.
That is a
Okay.
pretty good idea, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's take a break. Yeah. Okay. I wanted to get the soft intro, but we missed the moment. But what are, we're talking about fantasy. We're bringing Arjun back. We're gonna
Going on.
just we didn't mention it last segment, but I was playing Sebastian this week, and out of
Yeah,
nowhere,
congrats on the
a
Asterix
victory.
win, you piece of shit.
Yeah, your team put up good stats this week, Ashwin. Showing some life, dude. Showing
You
some
probably
life.
had, like,
Yeah,
10
you
more
beast.
games than me. It was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
scheduling is garbage, and there's
No,
injuries. Like people
injuries.
sat out like crazy this week, like post Thanksgiving.
So I don't know if I mentioned this, but last segment, but I looked at the total minutes for each winner across the board, and each winner has more than 100 plus minutes than the over the
There you
loser.
go. There you
This
go.
week?
Scheduling,
Yes,
scheduling.
every
Oh,
That's what
that's
winner.
I'm
wild.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
And so what I'm saying is that there could be some, like mustard in the theory that there's some scheduling fuck ups going on here.
Oh,
And
hella mustard, dude. Are you
yeah,
kidding
And
me?
injuries as well too. Like
It's
yeah,
Extra
injuries,
Shea
yeah.
mustard, man.
Shea only had two games this week, and Jesse's like I can't be like, oh, my team's so super sick because I beat Jesse 6-2. It's primarily because he didn't have
same. I feel the
a
same
lot
way
of
with
players
Steve's
playing.
team.
So it's like
Yeah.
I'll take it. We take those, and on
Well,
to the next. I guess I'm playing
very
you next
humble.
week, Ashwin. How exciting!
Yeah, exciting. It was just also at a macro level. Siebes is a great matchup for me because
That
he.
shit looks not very happy. Dude.
Yeah, I'm giving it. I'm not giving him credit. I'm just saying, at the reality, the fact is, he goes for threes and he goes for points, and I punt those. So it was always going to be a good matchup for me. That's what I thought. But it went very well for me because a lot of his players didn't play, and that makes
Yeah.
me, if you didn't know, top of the table, as they so to speak, first place.
Is it
So
because you took points? I think we would have been tied if you didn't take points, but now I think you probably are top of the table. Yeah.
yeah, and I think Arya is also only 153, so that'll be number one. Good start for our boys.
Yeah,
It's
I'll get
time.
you a
She's
fucking
sealing.
medal.
She's sealing, boys. She's sealing.
Get you a
I
medal
do.
for first place at the end of November. Congrats, bro.
I haven't said anything. That's why.
Yeah,
Right?
I
It was a
feel
good
like
win. It's
I
a
feel
big
like
win
the
for first
league
place.
Yeah.
the league has been much closer. It feels like this year. It's been much more competitive, and all like the Sans, Brian, and Sean, all the records are pretty
Getting
close.
getting boned, man.
Yeah.
Getting boned.
Brian,
Getting
you want to take
super
the floor?
boned,
Tell us
Yeah,
what's
man.
going
that's the
on.
name of the game, Brian.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Getting boned, man.
You have Brian Award on your team. You can take the floor and kind of bitch and moan if you'd like.
No, nothing. I just don't think it's as bad as the fucking worst team in the fucking league, honestly. Like, all I needed today was like 10 more points out of Donovan Mitchell, 12 maybe, and like 10 from Nikola Vucevic, and Donovan got 10 points, Vucevic got 6. Like, come on, man.
I think you
That's a
should.
boning. Victor Wembanyama, six steals? Come on, that's a boning, dude. That's a
That's
random
rough.
boning, dude. Come
You
on,
should
rough.
probably hit up an optometrist before the draft next year because the vision
Fuck
pretty
off,
blurry
dude.
this year,
Fuck
bro.
off, man. Goddamn, dude. I anticipate a comeback at some point. At least a comeback to not last. That's all. That's all I
Clay's
Hey,
your
hey,
new
hey,
Kemba.
did Clay have a good
All
week
right.
this week?
He had like one
Not
good game, I
bad.
think.
It's like his two good games, or like
Yeah.
not good, but not
20
fucking horrible.
points, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
pretty solid.
Yeah. All right, move on to the next segment. Enough.
Not it's the rag on Brian's fantasy team segment.
Yeah. What the hell is this? Bring on Arjun this shit on me. What the hell is this, dude?
One of the best at doing it. So yeah. Okay, so we want to talk about OpenAI, and the reason why is because I had an epiphany over the last week or so, and but it happened because of two events, and I'll say them both, and then that's why I'll explain. I want to talk about OpenAI after that. Okay, so first event is on Thanksgiving. I had the hankering for some pie, so I was looking for any open supermarket late open past 9:30 or 10. Okay, so I go to Ralph's and I look for some pie. I buy some other things as well, and I'm just walking down the aisles.
This is such an Ashwood story, dude.
man.
I don't see how AI ties into this, dude.
Yeah, I'm walking down the aisles. I'm walking down
please
the aisle.
continue.
See, I can't believe Steve's laughing so hard. So I'm walking down the aisles and I pick up my pie and I decide to pick up some other things. And then I walk behind this guy and I just immediately smell like this terrible body odor, like off and off and off. And
what the fuck? Where's this going?
and so what happens is, and I like, dude, this guy needs deodorant. And then I look, like, I just walk up a little more closer, and then I can tell that he's like sauced out of his mind. He's completely gone. And the best way to describe him is he looked like one of our dear friends crossed with a Jon Stewart type vibe. So like 50 or 60, like maybe 40 or 50. I couldn't tell any of that range, but looked like one of our friends crossed with Jon Stewart. Okay. And he's just freaking. And then he goes to inevitably he goes to the alcohol aisle and he's just staring at there. And then as I'm walking around down and back the aisles, I just see him staring at stuff through the aisle, and I just this guy's completely sauced and out of his mind. And then time goes on, I get my pie, I go back home. Then the next day, or like a day after, maybe even 2 days after, I'm driving down Culver, and I look to my left, and I see there he is, the same guy, and he's in it like he looks equally sauced, and he's in a Tesla, and he's just like cruising like this, and to me, it was a glitch in the matrix. And so in the simulation, so to speak, there was one guy like I don't know, okay. And so then second story is I go to Target before Dream State Thieves to pick up some of those small things, right, that you can put in my fanny pack, which, by the way, Arjun, I gave you a shout out last week for your championing of the fanny pack, as you know. So and then as I look at my bag at the checkout, I see, oh, actually I have it here. It's eerie. It's fucking eerie. But okay, so I look into my bag after I pay for everything, and there's a bag of these, okay? Little mouth flossers, okay? You see this?
Okay.
Big fan.
You see this? Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
We see them.
I tell the guy, yo, I didn't buy these. What are you doing? Like, he said, oh, my bad. Check the receipt. If you didn't pay for them, then just leave them here and go away. And so that's what I did. I checked the receipt. I didn't pay for them, so I put them there. I come back home. I open up my bag, and lo and behold, what is there? First thing there is right here. This right there. And I freaked out because I literally put it there, and then the first thing that I see in the same place when I get home is this bag. And as I'm talking about it, I did not plan this at all. I did not plan this. Lo and behold, as I was cleaning my room, look what's in front. As I'm about to tell the story, right in reach for me, right here, is these fucking mouth clickers. And it's just like a glitch in the matrix, dude. I swear, I put them back, and they just keep appearing out of nowhere. So these two stories, the drunk man, and the mouth floss, have led me to believe there's a disturbance in the force. Meanwhile, concurrently in the same week, OpenAI happens, and there's also a disturbance in the force. And so that's why I thought I need to figure out what's going on here. So we're bringing on Arjun to talk about it, right? Okay.
Okay.
And so I've talked much a lot. So
a
I'll let Arjun.
paranoid delusion
Well, I
as
just,
an
I
opener.
just,
think,
yeah,
I think
do you usually buy that floss? Is that a thing that you buy, or it's just, it's
Never,
somehow
never.
you've never? Okay. And then second question, how
I buy
many?
those little.
What?
Go ahead,
What?
Arjun.
How many mg did you consume beforehand? Of
I did take a gummy, so to speak, on Thanksgiving. Yes,
So there's another aspect to this where I can feel
but
like
not
you were
now.
sketching
Not
that
now.
something was in your teeth or something like that. So you're super faded in Target, and you're like, I gotta get some floss or something like that.
Target at all, dude. No. I was straight at Target. I was in business mode. Like I gotta get the shit and go because we're trying to go to Long Beach and stuff.
Yeah, that's actually
Huh.
true. You would not have had any. Yeah, that's true.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it is a deep glitch in the matrix. Yeah.
I just think
Dude, I didn't even plan this. I knew I was going to talk about it, but here it is again. Just it's crazy.
our AI overlords want us to have clean teeth.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice and easy.
Plaque. They're against plaque. Okay, so enough of me talking. Arjun, Brian, tell us. As we know, there's a lot of ruckus out of OpenAI. Tell us about it. Then at the
Brian,
end, I want to
Brian, I
kind
can
of
let
see
you.
what your opinion is.
I can let you give the high level if you want,
Sure.
Brian, and I can give my thoughts as to what
Sure.
I think was actually
I'll
going
give a
down.
high level. I can
Sure.
give a high level, and then please fill in the blanks because while I have been following it fairly closely, it did hit a critical mass of just drama where it's just like it's like hard to sift through all the information because it's just too much kind of drama mongering essentially. So it was about a week ago now that Sam Altman, he's like the superstar essentially the face of OpenAI, which is the company that created ChatGPT. He randomly gets fired by the board of OpenAI, with the reasoning being that he hasn't been as transparent with the board as to some of the things going on in terms of research or product development, etc. And given his good favor in the industry right now as essentially the next visionary of the tech world, this was like a very big shock to the tech industry. I mean, when I got the news on my phone, I was like, damn, what the hell is this? This is super random. And, the first thoughts that kind of come out are, some kind of power struggle of some sort. People who were involved with him earlier on, people like Ilya Sutskever, was part of the decision making to get him off of the team. And then also soon after his firing, somebody who is very involved, Greg Brockman. I don't know his exact position, but he is somebody who worked very closely with Sam Altman, came out in his support, basically saying like, I'm also out. And this began a big cascading of, what exactly happened? Why is this happening? After that, there was a lot of essentially damage control happening of people saying like this is a bunch of BS. A lot of employees coming out saying, we're going to quit if Sam Altman doesn't come back.
Yeah, I think it was like 700
Sam
employees signed a message saying that like if he's out, then we're out. And then another stipulation is that like we'll all leave unless you reinstate him, and as along with that, also get rid of all the existing board members.
And 700 out of essentially like 775, I think the number was. So it's like over 90% of the company was saying
So
if he did.
When I saw it was
not
500. So you're saying basically everybody thereafter signed it. So they got to like what 90%. Okay,
Yes.
wow, crazy.
And even Ilya Sutskever, who voted on the board to fire him, ended up also signing that, saying that like he didn't understand the implications of his decision.
Right. And then so for a day, essentially Sam Altman was hired by Microsoft to head the AI division, given that Microsoft has invested a lot into OpenAI. And so there's that element of, Microsoft essentially has a lot of power over things like how much they enable OpenAI to work in terms of like servers or, hardware things that OpenAI might need. And in Sam's place, they had a temporary CEO, OpenAI did, of Emmett Shear, who is like a Twitch, who used to be the CEO of Twitch, and he's notoriously doesn't really care about anything, really. It doesn't really give a damn about anything, and so that's where a lot of backlash from the employees came from. All of this to skip through a lot of the drama, which I'm sure we can get into a little bit later, is that Sam has kind of returned back as the CEO of OpenAI, and some of the kind of high level idealistic reasons why is that what people are saying is that Sam is very much so like an accelerationist. He's very much so the break things fast, move things fast product. Let's make this a product as much as we can. And the original intent of OpenAI was to create safe AI for people. And there is some rumors as to what they meant by Sam hasn't been communicating to the board about, is it recent discoveries in AI and that's why they wanted him out? Is it the way he wanted to kind of move product and, like internal economics with the product? And that's where a lot of the rumor mill comes from. And I think I can like pass that off a little bit to Arjun.
Before we get into Arjun, we pass the baton off to Arjun. You've kind of given us the facts, right? You know what people know, Brian. You've kind of told us this is what exactly, like, what is public knowledge. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, so you mentioned a couple names, Ilya, Sam Altman, Greg Brockman. So why doesn't, before Arjun, you get deep into it, why don't you kind of give us a summary or like a personal history of the key players, and then we'll go from there.
Oh man, there's so many. Sam Altman. Oh, go Go ahead.
Oh no, you can go ahead, Brian, if you had something to say.
Yeah, I'll just give like a quick,
Sure,
15
sure,
seconds
Brian
on
too.
each.
Yeah,
Sam Altman, kind of like the CEO of OpenAI, used to be somebody who did Y Combinator, early startups. What is like an organization that does early startups. Started this OpenAI essentially as a organization to create safe AI. ChatGPT comes out, it's amazing. Microsoft, big tech gets involved. It's kind of started off this big train of AI. Greg
my
Brockman
well,
is
my,
like is a president and kind of co-founder with him. Yeah, go ahead, Ash.
my understanding that the reason why he's one of the it boys of the Tech Valley, right? And you mentioned
Now,
UI
yes,
connector, yeah, right, Sam Altman, and the
yeah.
reason why people seem to like him is because his like mo is growth, right? He's really good at
Yes.
promoting growth and building companies from 0 to 100 and serviceable products, right? Is
Well,
that fair to say?
that's the thing. Yeah, like a big reason why is that from a PR perspective, he is a very mild mannered, very chill, um, founder. But then what rumors have been is that, or not rumors, it's kind of a fact, is that people have said that if you were to put Sam Altman on an island of cannibals and came back like a month later, he would be like the king of cannibals. That's what they say. He's like a very, very sly, like conniving guy, but his outer
Careful,
personality
careful,
doesn't show that,
careful,
right?
Brian.
What? I don't think it's a bad thing. He's just like a crazy businessman, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
for
kind of
sure.
what the thing is.
Is that
A
is
lot,
Um,
that
a
read
lot.
is that read good, Arjun?
Yeah, pretty much. I think a lot of people. I'm not sure if a lot of people know, but Elon Musk also co-founded OpenAI as well too, alongside Sam Altman, and was a big donor in the early days. Contributed up 50 million and stuff. But at some point, I think that he wanted to spin off his own kind of for-profit. So OpenAI was founded as a non-profit, but then they soon realized that being able to train all the models and stuff that they were working on um, required a lot of computational budget. So spinning up cloud instances. So that's where Sam Altman really worked or was able to unlock the power of compute from the Microsoft side by getting Microsoft to invest almost $13 billion in the future of OpenAI. And so at some point, I think they realized that a for-profit model for just purely AGI research, right? AGI with a really open-ended goal. It's like to help humanity basically, and like help humanity have control over the AI that we're developing in an open sense, and it has like good visibility into what the algorithms are doing and how it's going to be used, and like a lot of safeguarding around the type of AI that they create. But then they soon realize that like this shit costs a lot of money, such that you have to have some for-profit branch. So I think this company's been around, I think, since, let's see, 2015, right, as nonprofit beginnings.
it's been a
So
while.
through many iterations, right, they had GPT-1. I remember, so that came out in like 2017 or 2018. Um, so the precursor to something like GPT came from a Google paper that was based on this like natural language processing, deep learning architecture called transformer based models. And those kind of changed the game. So before with natural language processing, you've had a bunch of different techniques that you'd have benchmarks like question answer pairs, semantic understanding. So you feed in like a paragraph. Can you say if this is like a positive or negative message? And then once these deep learning based methods came out based on the transformer models, it kind of blew everything out of the park, right? It's like it figured out a deeper understanding of how to represent text and what a piece of text has meaning in the context of say a paragraph and stuff. And the interesting thing about those transformer models is that what OpenAI was also able to produce was that as you throw more data and compute in it, the better it gets. So it's just a matter of scaling the amount of data and compute that you throw into it. So they went through many iterations: GPT-1, GPT-2, GPT-3, and those were never commercialized as good as they were. They were just released in very small versions. So they'd have like a 100 billion, I'm just throwing that number out, model parameter, but then they'd release a smaller version of it because they knew that there's implications for like creating fake news or using it for nefarious purposes, basically. Um, so then they kind of just came out of nowhere and released Chat GPT, which was built on GPT 3.5. And then that I think transformed the AI landscape, right? If you think of it as like the AI hype cycle has been building up, building up, building up until people were able to feasibly build actual stuff out of it. And then ChatGPT came out and it created some sort of thing that felt like an AGI, right? If you know about the Turing test, it's like if you can converse with the computer and you can't tell that it's a computer, then it's passed the Turing test and it's basically AGI esque. Um, so it's like something like that brought AI to the consumer rather than these like fat ass models that live in AI research land. It gave something tangible for the people to interact with. So I think from that platform, I mean, OpenAI got 1 million users much faster than any other software platform, like Netflix, so on and so forth. Like
1 billion revenue, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like it's probably one of the most successful software products in just a year, right? Because it's like the technology that it's built
Crazy.
upon is so revolutionary that it's almost it doesn't make sense to not use it. So like I think from that win, they realize that look at what we are able to create and look at what we're able to do. So I know, I imagine that there's a lot of people on the inside, and there seems to be a break on the inside of OpenAI where people want to retain that earlier belief that we're going to safeguard this and make sure that the type of AI that we release is ethical and is released in a smart way, and we know the social implications of what it does. Opposed to people that are like, oh, we can monetize the shit out of this. Let's just put this out there no matter what guardrails that we put on top of it. And it seems like that's the path they're going. Like they've deviated pretty far from their original mission statement, was nonprofit, ethical AI, and like a slow rollout from it. And now it's like, oh, we could just put ChatGPT and roll up DALI 3 inside of it and make people like bring more and more users to our platform. Um, and it's just I imagine that it's hard to stop a train that has that much velocity at the rate at which AI for the consumer side is growing that fast.
So that was a fantastic history of like the company and where we're at, and it leads me perfectly to like the next person we should talk about, which is Ilya, right? Ilya
Hmm.
Setskarer, who is basically championing exactly what you're saying, right? He's the guy who's leading the effort, and now let's move forward to what actually happened in the last week or something. So he, as Brian mentioned, he signed along with these board members, and I wonder why. Why do you think he did that, Arjun? Why did he sign ousting Sam in the first instance? And
Yeah,
I'll get
so
Steve's read after too, if he wants to give it. Yeah.
that is an interesting question because my original assumption was that like I didn't even realize that Microsoft didn't have any people on the board of OpenAI. So my understanding or like my opinion was that Sam really wants to safeguard that aspect of safe AGI and like focus on the actual research aspects of it and not like go balls to the wall on monetization. But it seems like it's the other way around, right? It's like
Yeah,
maybe
that was my read. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like Sam is actually going balls to the wall on the monetary aspect of it, and people didn't want that. So maybe Ilya voted yes to oust him primarily because Ilya's very focused on the ethical and social implications of AI in general.
Mhm.
I mean, and just his background of him, he's like a god basically in the AI community. Like he can perform
TensorFlow
basically
guy, right?
TensorFlow. He actually came up with one of the like most fundamental computer vision based algorithms. It's called AlexNet, but is a use of a convolutional neural network. But basically, his name is attached to that, and since then, he's worked at really top institutions like OpenAI, Tesla, as well as too like Google. Um, it's like
Y-
it's hard to separate his name from the amazingness that is
his
AI today.
baldness.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like
And
one
I
of the best baldness, like best hairlines I've ever seen. But yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so that's your read on it. Steve, did you ever read on this first outscene? Like, you know who this Italy guy is now. If you didn't know before, I don't know what your read is on how close you're really following it. Anything to say?
Well, I was only very loosely following it because, as Brian
Okay.
said, it started to get into too much drama where it became hard to keep up with it. But I also was under the impression initially that it was Sam who was like the altruistic one, and then when I found out it was kind of the opposite, it kind of threw like a wrench into the whole thing. Not that he's not altruistic, but he was heavily pushing for monetization, like Arjun was saying. So yeah, I don't have like a super hard take on it. I just think it's kind of interesting that it seems to be like the first real sign of a impasse in terms of like the decision makers in the AI world.
yeah.
I'm
And
sure
I
there's been
think
other
part of
impasses. The
why
biggest
everybody
major one.
thought Sam Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah,
No,
I
no,
think
yeah.
why everybody thought Sam was such a altruistic guy is because he's essentially the media guy for OpenAI, right? He goes on all these podcasts, he goes on all of these interviews, and he's talking about the safety of AI, and he's talking about the potential of what AGI means for the future. And so he becomes the face when people think about the mainstream discussion of how to safeguard AI in the future. And so when you learn that he's actually the one pushing those things, a lot of questions come up on, you know, exactly, what's going on behind the scenes, what exactly is the end goal, how much is their outside influence, et cetera, or is, Sam really just kind of, a dog, like everybody
Yeah.
I remember we were
kind of
listening
says
to
behind the
him on
scenes.
the Joe Rogan podcast and our road trip back from Salt Lake City, and you kept saying like he seems like such a slimy guy, like he just is like
Me?
yapping about some stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Or like you didn't get a good vibe read from him, so maybe you were
yeah.
just you were right. You're good at reading people that way.
People's true
Division,
natures
division.
never elude me, dude. People's true natures never elude me, dude.
So, okay, we can all agree that Sam was the one pushing too hard, and this board of one of the guys is Adam D'Angelo, which is the former CTO at Facebook, right? One of them was a treasury guy or some politician, and then the third guy was Brockman, right? Am I reading that?
D'Angelo is also, it's worth noting, he's the CEO, I believe the CEO or founder of Quora.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Quora.
that's probably how they got the
And
data set to train ChatGPT as well as they did
yeah,
from the question answer
and
pairs.
he
I don't
was
I
know.
see.
also building some kind of chat bot called Poe. And so there are some theories as to his involvement in wanting to push Sam out because essentially, as ChatGPT improves, the more obsolete his company becomes. So
Yeah.
so that's
People
just something to note as well.
people say that he gives off a bad vibe and he's kind of like a foul player in that. But so those guys, he's out, right? The treasury guy's out, and so now in this new era, well, the last person I thought we should talk about is Mira, right? Mira Mulati. Am I saying that right? Yeah, she's the CTO. She was the one who made she basically effectively led the Dolly team and the ChatGPT teams, right? She led development for those. She's a product manager. She's like amazing. She's like what really makes me old and feels bad is that someone who's like 2 years or 3 years older than me is like at some point became the CEO of OpenAI, and she's led two product teams.
CTO,
Like, huh? She's a
CTO,
CTO. Yeah, I thought she was
yeah.
Indian. That's why I looked her up. But she,
It's Albanian.
So that's it.
yeah,
That's the fascinating thing, right? So if the board thought that Altman was going too much for productization and their interim CEO was someone that literally productized ChatGPT and Dolly, right? Led the ChatGPT team, led the Dolly team, then wouldn't that be counterintuitive to
well,
our
let's hold up, Arjun. You said that it was you made the assumption that he
yeah.
was moving too fast. There was also some like assumptions that he said something nefarious or did like he was dishonest to the board, right? That thing like
hmm
not candid in the board. So that's the first layer. Then the second layer is then exactly what you're saying. Like he was going too fast, and then there's the third rub, which is if that was the case, why would they bring someone who literally snaps corporations into shape for like extracting money in the Twitch CEO? And is
And
that
she's
why
not
Ilya turned
very
over? You
speaking of
know,
Mira quickly, she's not very technical from what I had been seeing. Like she has mostly a business background. And to
are you
put her
making
as CTO.
assumptions, Brian? You
No,
think
I'm
you could
not. I'm
out tech
not.
her, bro?
I didn't say it. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I have been following. Okay, I've been following. And so there was some initial surprise. What someone of her background, like compare, Ilya Sutskever to Mira, right? Like the levels, not being a hater, like just the levels of technical knowledge there is very different. Especially coming from
But
a scientist and a product manager.
it's also known that Ilya is not really a people person, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's part of the C level stuff, right?
You do
To
need
do
Yeah,
that.
that type of business minded person to
for
figure
sure.
out how to Like, if you wanted to keep it as a pure nonprofit research thing, then sure. But I think it's gotten too much exposure. Like, the cat's out of the bag. People want to use the product now, so it'd be dumb
Right.
to not have someone that's able to take it to the next level.
So let's finish the segment with two quick questions, and then Arjun, if you, I think, since we're, you're welcome to stay for Bool or Bust if you'd like, but no
Okay.
pressure. So my first question is: Microsoft instantly snaps up everybody, right? And everyone says it's a big win for Microsoft. They effectively get what they really wanted for minimal effort and exertion, and then they come back. And my question to you is, what is the outcome for the board, and like, what happened? What do you think happened behind the scenes that allowed this? Like, who made the decisions here to really get things in motion and like set back the old regime?
I'm actually not too sure about the. I think it's like everyone's just purely speculating now at this point. So, like, I think we've listed the theories from both sides, but I don't know anything deeper than that. I don't know if Brian, you have any other thoughts.
Not too. I mean, my speculation is that all the employees were threatening to quit, and it's like if they all quit and
They have
go
to
to
backtrack.
Microsoft, then Microsoft wins essentially, and so they have to relent to that.
But the
Yeah, go
petition
ahead.
said if you don't remove the board, so if the board did what they were supposed to do and rehire Sam, they were signing their own death warrant, effectively, right? So those three guys still there? That's my question.
They're not.
Or
They're not.
I'm
D'Angelo?
not sure actually. I
I'm
have
They're
pretty
not sure.
sure they.
They're
I'm
not.
pretty sure
And
they got
they've
a
been
brand new board, except like one
brand
person.
new
I think
board.
everyone
So
except one
it's
person got.
literally tying your own like knot on the noose.
All these
this is
motherfuckers is rich,
the
dude. They
first
don't.
the
They
first
don't.
time.
They don't need it.
Yeah,
They don't need the
that's
money,
true.
dude. Like they're all balling out like crazy anyway.
Even like and I think this is something that's not mentioned as much is that a lot of the employees are painted as like, oh dude, like fuck man, we need Sam to like continue on to like be building ethical AI and stuff. But many of these people are very profit driven, to be honest. Like some of the engineers at OpenAI making like 800K
Hmm.
plus, and so a lot of it is just like we want Sam Altman back to keep the momentum of this of essentially becoming the next massive large tech company. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying everybody's like that, and I'm not saying that's everybody, but I think that to kind of paint all of the employees as like woe is me, we need our kind leader to continue is kind of how do I say, giving the tech industry a little bit too much credit
Yeah, for sure.
so
in the big
that led,
picture.
that led me to two sub questions. I said one more question, but two sub questions. Do you think Sam Altman is ethical? Like, will he continue to protect humanity against AI, or will he try to make profit for his shareholders, like going forward? Because
I
that.
personally don't think it matters anymore, right? It's like they're
Yeah,
well
same.
within their right at
Oh,
this
here he
point.
goes. Here he goes. That's why we brought him.
They're well within their right now to, make as much money as they want. Because at the end of the day, AI models are going to be created, whether it's OpenAI, whether it's Google. So if like Google or
Responsibly,
Microsoft
though,
or
right? Make as
Amazon,
much money as they want responsibly.
No, I
is
don't think
that, I
so,
mean, if
man.
that's a fundamental
Okay.
tenet
Okay.
of if that's a fundamental
Okay.
tenet of capitalism, then yeah, sure, that's going to happen. But it's quite the opposite, right?
Yeah,
Like
I
with
don't
the
think
way
so
our
at all.
society works, and you can make the argument that another country that has just as good AI researchers can build AI for more nefarious purposes. So I think as long as we're leading the technology race in terms of AI in general, um, I just think it's going to be the Wild West, right? This, like the social implications of what happens and the whatever the fuck happens, we're just the guinea pigs for it, and it's basically like it's coming, and I think whatever safeguards that you try to put on top of it are just going to be like people hand waving, right? It's not. There's no way that you're able to
I
come
agree.
up with the perfect system unless we come up with a way to bake in some aspects of morality or ethics into the AGI from the start. Like no matter what, it's going to have crazy social implications no matter what.
Yeah, and there's a big idea in AI about like alignment, right? So just at a high level, it's like how do you create AI that has aligned moral values with like the correct kind of human social values, but then people who get really deep into that conversation say that humans aren't even aligned with each other. Right, right, so it starts to get into very deep philosophical. Like, how do you create AI that's like truly altruistic if people can barely, people and nations can barely do that to each other? So
I
And
thought,
that's
like, Brian, you
another
mentioned the
project.
engineers.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, and then I'll finish
That's
on
another. So
a
you're
funny
talking about
thing.
alignment, but yeah, they started an initiative. Ilya Sutskever within OpenAI. His big project is called Super Alignment. So it's mostly like figuring out how to align AI technologies, such kind of basically what Brian said. But like, there's a focus on it. But once again, we'll see if that even fucking does anything, right? It doesn't change the fact that AI has already been let loose out of the bag. Like, people see the value in it,
yeah.
and people will use it for nefarious purposes no matter. It's kind of like the internet. When the internet was first released, it was the Wild West, and then now we have these guardrails on top of it that reduce the ability to do as nefarious stuff, anonymity and shit. But then if you wanted to go to the dark web, you can do very nefarious things on the dark web as well too. So there's always going to be this underbelly that is AI, that maybe people are passing around fucking secret models on the dark web, or like the black market, that they're like, oh, it's a code, uh you know black market model that is able to like write code for you that hacks subsystems or some shit like that, or like even more nefarious shit, right? It's like, I think that there'll be all this bad shit that's going on while the good shit's also going on.
So to me, it's like the atomic bomb, dude. Didn't you guys watch Oppenheimer? This is happening again. Like, we have the ability to stop this happening. But I'll just say this. I'll finish this, and then we'll move to the next segment. Brian was talking about these engineers making 800K, right? And I feel like a big reason a lot of them revolted. You talk about morals and ethics and like AI. I think a big reason why a lot of them revolted is because like something happened with their options. Like there was going to be a
Oh,
move to
100%.
like
Yeah, that's exactly what
nonprofit
I'm
or
saying.
something, and they like just
Oh,
revolted or
100%.
something, and like instantly 700 people. That there's no way you get 95, like
100%, dude.
90%. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's a
that's
great point.
the cynical person in me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's a great
so
point. Yeah,
100%.
everyone
yeah,
loves
That's
fucking money.
exactly
Come
what I
on
was
now.
saying. That's exactly. I would. Yeah, I'd be like,
yeah.
if you're kind of like a small guy in it, and you're like, dude, this is like my ticket to ride. If we ride this out for the next 3 years, and we're the top company, and all of a sudden, I just have like a fat bag. Yeah, it's like, no
Exactly.
way. A large percentage of those people aren't thinking that, dude.
Exactly. Let's end it on that. Okay. All right, we're back. Bool Or Bust top 5, courtesy of Brian this week. But special little mix up is Arjun joining us this week for Bool Or Bust in top 5. Last minute, so we're putting him on the spot.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
I could go since I proposed it, I suppose.
I'm waiting for the pop off segment, Brian. I'm really looking forward to the pop off segment, but
Bottom 5 brand Spotify, dude. No, I just chose top 5 brands because, yeah, I think a lot of people have a lot of attachments to different brands for whatever reason, and it's obviously very, very wide, and I think the explanations could be kind of interesting. For mine, number 5, I have McDonald's. I think, it's kind of like the notorious shit food, but I still feel like I like it and I still crave it sometimes. And I think it's because the brand awareness and all of the, ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it. It's just like, it's deeply ingrained into my head ever since I was a child. So,
When you're
I'm
eating
always
it, does that go through your
for a
head as you're
sausage
eating it?
McMuffin every now and then. What?
Does that go through your head as you're eating it? Are you singing
It
that
does.
song to yourself?
maybe not even consciously, dude. Maybe not even consciously.
I don't want to break Brian's flow, but this is why I kind of like twerped at the top 5 is because when I think of McDonald's, I think of like a chain. But you're saying the branding. So what separates it, like the Ronald McDonald, like the big M, everything around it, like the aura of McDonald's is
I
what
mean, it could
makes
be
it.
anything, right? It's just like what it is to me, what the brand is to me.
Grimace.
What do you say, Steves?
Grimace.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. At number 4, I have Square Enix. It's just like a game company. They did all the Final Fantasies. To this day, I think I just always, every time they release anything, I'll buy it and I'll play it. It's got a big nostalgia factor to it. So as a brand, I just feel as though they've entered that kind of space in my life where I kind of just trust anything that they put out, regardless. And sometimes the stuff I play kind of sucks, but it has like a very specific element to the games that they make. Number three, I have Disney. I think they've obviously captured a lot of the childhood kind of love uh, for just like imagination in general. For me, everybody has that kind of classic memories of stuff, and I think just even as like a company today, I think it's kind of crazy. They basically just own every single IP out there. They have Marvel, they have ESPN, they have everything, and so just like as a brand, I just think it's kind of crazy. You have people spending millions of dollars to go travel to Disneyland to pay hella money just to like kind of recapture some of that childhood stuff, even though it's like super crowded and to be honest, kind of sucks in my opinion. Disneyland, I think, is just way too crowded and the lines are shit. And it's super overrated. Maybe just because we live in Orange County or Southern California, or we grew up here, that I'm able to say that. But I think Disneyland's super overrated. But I think it does occupy like a pretty crazy space in entertainment and things like that. Number two, I have Nintendo. Go ahead.
we see for the viewers, we see Arjun just pounding some water. Or he's on that creatine vibe. I know. I see that, dude.
Big water, baby. Big water,
I
baby.
caught that. Dude.
64 ounces
big
twice
water,
a day.
dude.
Oh damn.
That's a lot. At number two, I have Nintendo. Classic gaming company. I think Mario. Mario is one of the most recognized guys. They as a gaming company, I'd say their games are always amazing, but in terms of like the business and things like UX of games, it's actually pretty shite. But because they have such classic games, Zelda, Mario, etc., people always love playing their stuff. And then the last one for me is Nike. I just like love Nike everything essentially. Like I don't even know why. I just the whole like fucking just do it. And sports and everything. I think they just have like good brand messaging, and I think a lot of their kind of sports clothes are super fresh and stuff. So it's my favorite brand. I love Nike shoes. Yeah, I just love Nike everything basically. So that's my number one. And honorable mention is just Sony. I don't know. I just like Sony products. I think they're pretty. That's pretty much it. I think they're the kind of classic good electronics company. So honorable mention, and those are my five.
So that was a fantastic list, Brian, and well thought out and reasoned, and actually made me think internally. So great job. But
Okay.
I was actually just throwing it to you for Bool Or Bust, but that's fine. We can start with top
Oh. Oh shit. Okay. My bad.
No, we'll do top five brands. So who wants next? That was good. Any comments on top five? Sieves, Arjun?
Square Enix was an excellent inclusion.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had Nintendo too, for similar reasons, and like their ability to just kind of like take classic games and reinvent them in the modern age, and continue to innovate and just make dank games that are like, I don't know, fun to play. It's not flashy graphics, it's not flashy anything, but it's just like a good game at its core. And they've had multiple bangers.
So why don't you go next then, Arjun?
Okay, yeah. So my number five was Blizzard Entertainment. I know this might be polarizing, Ashwin.
Oh wow!
But
you see me. I see you online, and you see me online, dude. I like StarCraft. Can't complain. Can't hate.
Yeah, I think early Blizzard. I think nowadays they might have fallen down in terms of ability to put out good creative games. But back in the day, fucking StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, BattleNet of Warcraft 3, fucking World of Warcraft, goated game, right? Fucking Diablo's sick as well too. Overwatch is fine. I don't care. Heroes of the Storm, Hearthstone, like you name it, they make good games at their core. And I think as like an early like gaming studio back in the day, they dominated the space of just being able to put out good games for a long ass time. So hope better things on the horizon for Blizzard, especially in the WoW domain, putting out good WoW. But yeah, so that's number five. And the number four was similar to Brian. It was Nintendo. I just think Nintendo's different. Like they've stayed in their own lane and been able to just make unique, fun games for a long ass time. Pretty surprising. Like the first game system I bought was an N64, and seeing the difference from an N64 all the way to a Switch, it's cool to see how far that they've come. Number 3 is a personal favorite of mine. It's been since I was very young. Rubio's, San Diego,
Yes.
San Diego based.
Yo.
Ralph Rubio drove down from San Diego, Pacific Beach, all the way down to Tijuana or Ensenada, where he bought a fish taco for the first time, and it made him scratch his chin and say, "You know what? How do I make a fine establishment like this back at home?" So then he came back, started Rubio's, and soon it was a global phenomenon. I wouldn't say global, maybe national phenomenon. But, it's always been a personal favorite for mine. I get it probably once a week. I remember when I was a kid and my parents used to ask me, "Hey, son, where do you want to go for your 7th birthday?" And I would tell them Rubio's. And the Rubio's at the marketplace, I will say, was quite a fine establishment. They used to have an aquarium there. It was super sick. But then after the recession hit in 2008, they had to get rid of the aquarium. And I was quite sad in that context. But still, I'll have to say Rubio's is pretty fucking good.
That's crazy. That's a
Do you
shocker.
celebrate? So is April 5th a big day for you? Because apparently April 5th is Ralph Rubio Day in San Diego.
Oh shit, dude! Oh, that's huge, dude. That's
Are you being
huge.
serious? Are you being serious?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now it's okay.
Come on.
I gotta ask my boss for the day off on, or I'm gonna go to Rubio's on Rubio's Day. Dude, that's huge, dude. I told you, Rubio's is
It's
massive.
to honor the Fish Taco King and thank him for all he does for the city and community.
Yes,
Damn,
sir.
dude, that's crazy.
Dude, San
That's
Diego entity, bro.
dude.
Hype.
Seems like a big day. Yeah, April 5th.
Okay, number 2. This might be weird, but Studio Mappa as an animation studio.
Oh wow.
I feel like past 2 years they've been only putting out bangers, and they've like consistently put out some of the best animation sequences in anime in the last probably 5-6 years since they got Attack on Titan. They did Vinland Saga, then they did Chainsaw Man, they do Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, if you ever see the Mappa tag on something, you know it's going to be fucking good. Shouts out to Mappa animators who probably just need to work a little bit harder, man. Just suck it up and keep the ball rolling. Shout out to working 60, 70 hours a week because I'm trying to get that JJK content, man. That's what I need.
Shout out not seeing your family, dude.
Yeah. I'm okay with this as long as I get my sick animation sequences. And then number 1, as you guys know, Apple to the day I die. Apple's my shit. From my first iPhone as a young lad back in 2007.
I don't want to hear this shit.
When I held that device in my hand, it was transformative. It made me realize what technology can actually mean in my life and how we can just better my life in such a greater context. From being able to transform the cellular industry from using basic flip phones to using a touch phone, all the way to redesigning how people use
there a mute button?
music. And then all the way up to date, still making good phones. They make the best laptops for anything. Just and as a whole cohesive, like, do the software and the hardware perfectly. Apple all the way, baby. Apple till I die. And I got a couple Android users in here, or just one actually. But I digress.
I will say the vintage iPod was pretty sick.
Super sick.
Back in the day, it was very, very sick. Like, that was like the first, like, oh shit, this is a really cool, really cool thing. Yeah,
exactly.
Steve, do you want to go, or let me go, and then we'll finish with Steve? Okay, Steve, go.
Okay, whatever you want to do. I'll go, I guess. So, 5, I went with Fage yogurt. I eat Fage yogurt pretty much every day, twice a day. I eat a ton of it.
Perfect pronunciation. Yeah, we nailed it. Yeah,
it's a dicey one. Or it's actually Faye. My bad. I actually didn't nail the pronunciation. It's a dicey one if you don't get it right. So yeah, Faye yogurt. I eat it frequently. Big fan. I don't have the history, or I don't know the owner, so I can't go into as much depth as Arjun has with Rubio's and
Frank Faye, dude. Frank Faye, dude.
It could be Frank Faye, but Turkish immigrants who came to the United States. No, I'm making that up.
September 2nd, Faye Day, dude. Faye Day.
Yeah. used to be a big Chobani guy, but as I've grown older, I like the texture of
Mm.
Faye better. So big fan. 4,
Chobani
I'm
got
going.
mid over the years. It just
Yeah,
didn't
man,
get good.
runny.
And
Got
it's
very
like
runny.
they had a couple recalls from Chobani I bought from Costco, and I was like, yeah, this is just gross. If you're getting recalls in your yogurt, I'm not going to eat it anymore.
It's hard to get spoiled Greek yogurt, especially since it like is extremely. I don't know what the word is. Cultured, I guess you would say. Like it shouldn't really spoil. But
You like
4.
eating what you are, eh? Seems cultured.
Yeah, exactly. I need my culture
Okay.
at all times.
All right.
4 is Ralph Lauren. I think it's a steadily classic brand. They don't really put out anything offensively ugly, and I feel like it's pretty timeless. So I'll go with Ralph Lauren number 4. 3, I really didn't want to do this, but I looked around my room and realized I have this product fucking everywhere, including the headphones I'm wearing are made by this company. So Apple is 3. I have to do it. I'm sorry,
Yes,
Brian.
sir.
But yeah, they've made too big of an impact in my life, so I have to basically say Apple. 2, I'll go with Adidas. I wear Adidas clothing pretty frequently. I think they make a solid product, and yeah, I've always been a fan of them. And 1, I also went with Nike. So
Nice.
yeah, I mean, I have
Goated
so much
brand.
Nike shoes. Nike, I don't know, everything basically. Nike basketball clothes, workout clothes. So Nike to me is number 1, and I'm also biased because it was one of my better investments. So when you buy Nike, Brian, remember you're helping me also, and I appreciate it. But honorable mentions, I went with Lao Ganma. It's like a spicy chili sauce. It's a brand, and I think it's excellent.
Oh,
And
it's so bomb.
you know what it is for sure. Yeah, it's the one with the old
Yeah, yeah.
grandmother on it. So, and then I also went with Clark's, the shoes. I'm a big fan of Clark's. I think it's also timeless, and the shoes are very high quality. They last pretty much forever.
No, very
So,
classy,
yeah.
Siebes.
I will say I haven't seen you wear a polo tee in maybe a decade or two. So you got to start
We don't
rocking
see
those again.
we don't see each other on occasions where I'd be wearing one. I think I packed one for Salt Lake City, but we stayed in
Okay.
the cabin the whole time. If maybe we had gone out, I would have worn the polo out, and you could have been, oh, Siebes is wearing polos
That's
again. But
a subtle
alas,
jab to all of us.
Hey, I wanted to go out.
Yeah,
it
because you
was
were
a subtle
fucking
jab
just
at one
sleeping all day,
person.
Doug.
Yeah, Brian, you had like a 24-hour recovery, man. Of course you want to go
Hey,
out after
man,
that.
it happens. It happens.
Yeah, but I respect that.
Uh,
Brian was rallying.
yeah, that's one way to look at it. Yes. Uh, to me, Sieves,
Yes,
anything on
yes, sir.
Sieves' guys, Arjun, Brian? Okay. So I actually have a lot written down, but it took me a long time to like choose my 5. So pretty good with it now. I'm gonna start with 5. Steam. Just Steam. I think it's revolutionized my gaming experience. I was never a PC gamer growing up, besides like Age of Empires and like Flight Simulator, and then like now in the last 10 years, it's like revolutionized how I game. So for sure, Steam. Um, Number 4, In and Out. Like how I read Brian's top 5 is like things that I fight, brands that I fight for, and I'm like will exclusively go to as a statement. It's like an active choice. So In and Out, I love In and Out. It's like my favorite restaurant, fast food restaurant, and I go there at least once or twice a week, and I think it just elevates the burger to a very Californian way. So number 2, I am going with a company that I think is far superior to its competitors, and by such a significant margin that I will never buy anything else. Any guesses, guys?
No.
What? Okay, so give a hint as to
Give
what
like an area.
Food.
Like an area.
Food. I don't want to waste too much time on it, but I thought you might enjoy guessing this one.
Chobani flips.
Close, right? Seems knows you well. It's pretty close. Okay, Ben and
Frito
Jerry.
Lay. Oh, Ben and Jerry. Okay.
Ben and Jerry. I think it is
Oh,
the most best grocery store ice cream you can get by like a country mile, and it's way better. I have like 5 distinct flavors. I would do it as a top 5 in the future, but
Name the flavors.
okay. So Tonight Dough.
Okay, yeah, good.
Give me
Very good.
s'more. Half
Very good.
Half, yeah,
Very
classic.
good.
Caramel chocolate, caramel cheesecake.
I don't think I've had it.
Caramel, so it's a very fine grain, and then there's one more. I love Ben and Jerry's too. I can't tell you, like, they're. I don't want to. I can't remember the 5th one, but there's another one that I really like that I always get pretty often.
What about Talenti? What is your feeling on Talenti? I feel Talenti.
Good.
It's always on sale, and sometimes I try to get it, and I'm just never impressed. It's like half of it is toppings. They use the airspace to give you less, dude. It's just
it's a fair point.
It's not good value. Not good value. Okay. So Ben and Jerry's number 2, and then number 1 AMD. Both their CPUs and their. As I look at my computer, which I took apart this week. I like it. Like their CPUs and GPUs, and more than anything, like Arjun is a big NVIDIA guy, and he'll fight for them. But to me, unless you're buying in at the very top level for computers, like the 80s or 90 level for NVIDIA or above, everything below, you should definitely just buy AMD. It's just a better value proposition. So, love them, and I also love their CEO, Lisa Su. I think she's a tremendous woman and like very admirable. What she's done. Is it? Let me make sure. Is it? It's been a while. Dr. Lisa Su. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's it for me. Honorable mentions: Liquid Gold. I won't explain it. I'll just say if you know, you know. Okay. And then
I know.
A trio of Japanese companies: Mizuno, which is a golf company. I love their products, and again, really good value. And then Honda and Lexus. So like these 3, yeah.
Nice.
Move to Bool Or Bust or Seeps. That's it, right?
Yep.
I think that's everyone.
Yep.
Okay, move to Bool Or Bust. Anyone raring to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, Seeps, lead us off.
So, I wanted to start off with a revision to a past bust. I'm going to revoke a bust. And I'm going to say...
Me as well this week.
Yeah.
We're growing,
Frasier,
Seeps. We're growing.
Yeah. I said Frasier, the new Frasier was not great and it was a bust. It's actually been excellent since I've said that, like the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's been very good. So I'm revoking the bust I assigned to it. And then we'll go with my first bust of the week is just pseudo-intellectuals, their podcast appearances, like Malcolm Gladwell and Derek Thomas, or Thompson, I believe his name. It's just very hard to
I thought you were
listen
going to call
to.
me out, dude. I thought you were going to call me out.
Yeah, Arjun Karma, pseudo-intellectual. No, maybe one day if you get a big enough platform, you'll be in my crosshairs. But until then, I just think, like, if you're not really listening closely, you might think they come off saying profound things, but when you actually listen closely, they're speculating and sounding very stupid often. And, like, kind of just panicking about things they don't understand a lot. And I just kind of hate that line of thinking and don't really respect either of them. Because they're very annoying. And so then I have another bust, and that's going to be the death of the Pac-12. Was realizing yesterday as it wound down in the UCLA Cal game that was the last Pac-12 After Dark game, and started to get a little sad. A lot of good memories. Like, I still do think long term it's probably for the best for for our schools, Ashwin, Brian, and myself. All of our schools were going to benefit in the long run, but just kind of, gonna miss playing like Cal and Stanford. Like these rivalries that have been around for like almost 100 years are just going away and going on hiatus. So that's gonna be a strange feeling. But yeah, I mean, they were kind of playing it up yesterday on a lot of broadcasts, like playing like eulogizing montages, and it was like, damn, like it's over. The Pac-12 is done. So yeah, that was the main bust of the week, and I think I'll just stop with that. I have a pool, but it's just the Alabama win
Tell
over
us.
Auburn was very exciting. I was happy for Jalen Milroe. Uh, Seems like he's developed quite well, and it culminated with that tremendous game-winning pass he threw. And it was kind of nice to see because he seems like a really nice guy, and people were kind of shitting on him all year, saying he's going to be the reason Alabama gets held back, and he's kind of proven that's not the case. So that was it. Pretty simple this week.
Nice one. Brian, why don't you go? But something just came to me, and I'm surprised no one brought this up in the top 5 brand segment. Nobody had Costco.
Oh, dude. Talk
like
about the simulation, dude. That's actually part of my Bool and Bust. I'm not even playing.
There you go.
Right.
Everything's
It's
everything's
crazy.
glitching,
That's
dude.
crazy,
There's
dude.
disturbances
Talking
all
about the
across,
simulation, that was crazy. So I'll just start with it.
Yeah, go
my
ahead.
Bool was Costco tires. I've
Oh,
had to.
hell yeah.
I've had to basically replace all my tires because I mentioned before that I basically just haven't got my car checked in a long time and my tires were fucked, so I had to replace all 4. But to replace all 4, it was relatively cheap to obviously what the dealership was saying, and the service was really nice. When you buy a certain amount, the service is free, so I was in and out of there in like an hour. They replaced all my tires. Everybody was really helpful, and so Costco tires for sure was my Bool.
And their service cost is pretty dirt cheap. Like I went in for a
Yeah,
tire repair and it cost me $12. And I was like, dude, there's
yeah,
nothing you can buy in the modern day that costs fucking $12 that
yeah,
requires
for sure.
human. And it took them like an hour and a half to repair the tires. So it's like, damn, dude,
Yeah.
Costco.
It's because they pay their employees enough, dude.
Yeah.
That's why they don't have to fuck you with service prices because they actually pay their employees enough. And then the bust might be a surprise or I don't know, controversial, but I don't necessarily hate turkey, but I think in the context of all other Thanksgiving
It's
foods,
good
it's
country,
actually
Brian. You shouldn't do
I
this.
thought you meant the country, actually.
No, I'm saying in the context of all other Thanksgiving foods, turkey's actually kind of a bust. It's
It's
there's
terrible.
other things that are a lot better. Like I went to a family gathering, somebody made like ribeye that was super dank. Mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, stuffing, all of these things I tend to just like more, and I think turkey obviously is the classic Thanksgiving food, but on the list of things that people tend to bring to Thanksgivings, it's a bust. So that was my bust of the week.
I'm in the camp that I think all Thanksgiving food is inherently kind of mid. I don't know why. It's just like I don't like some people look forward to Thanksgiving for like the dank Thanksgiving food, but it's really not that good.
A
If
lot
you
of
think
it
about
is.
it.
Turkey's pretty bad. This year our turkey was actually very good, which is always nice.
It's tough to cook, man.
What do they do?
It's
What do you do
surprising.
differently with turkey? Like, how do you
I think
make
it's
it
just
good?
luck of the draw, man. I really do
You
think
got a
it's
good
just luck.
turkey.
Yeah, but like
That's fact.
I would say part of the Thanksgiving experience is like the bond that we all are eating this bad meal together. This bad main course, I should say. Like I feel like it's like part of the shared experience. Like I've started to hear this like, oh yeah, prime rib, serve prime rib instead of turkey. It's like, no, you will eat turkey. Like that is the rule, man. Like you have to suffer and eat this dry ass bird most like
You support
90% of the year.
You support the genocide of millions of turkeys every year,
Well,
Sebastian.
they're not very smart, man.
Aren't they like
Yeah,
overpopulated?
they're
So it's
huge
actually
busts.
They
so
are.
it's actually okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, I'm sure they have to have
But
farms.
to
It's not like
me,
there's wild turkey roaming everywhere that we're killing, like
Yeah,
hunting
yeah.
for
Well, I feel like
Thanksgiving.
in some places there might be.
there's wild turkeys.
Honestly.
There was a
Yeah.
The
bust in
whiskey brand.
Oregon. There was a lot of turkeys all up in the campus and stuff as you're
Yeah,
walking
that in
around.
Santa
It's-
Cruz too.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like ham is much better than turkey,
You
but
should have both. A good
Yeah,
Thanksgiving should have both.
we didn't have ham this year. I was not too thrilled, but the turkey was still very good, so it was fine.
But if I may interject here, the reason why people fuck up turkey is because the breast and the leg have like a 20 or 30 degree cooking difference that need
Yeah.
like to reach internal temperature. And
Oh,
so you have to like what if you're smart, you would either like spatchcock the turkey or you would actually cut up the turkey and cook the breast separately or something. And then you would have the juiciness of both. And I don't know. People, it's not presentation wise. No one wants to see it, but if you cut it up before and do it by parts, it's way better. Yeah. Okay. That's fair. Who's next on Bool Or Bust?
I got a couple busts.
All right, tell us, Arjun.
So I'll go with the first bust. This has been growing on me for a while, but the content that Disney has been putting out, like a wart. Like the content that Disney has been putting out for both Marvel and Star Wars is just terrible. You're kind of ruining the franchise in the sense that I'm too jaded to want to watch like Star Wars content and Marvel content again and again, like month after month, and like they sacrifice putting out a shit ton of content for shitty content. It's like none of it is really that good. You just like feel like you're forced to watch it because it's Disney or it's Star Wars. So I'm just getting kind of tired of it. I know Johnny just said like Loki's really good, so I tried giving it a chance last night.
Wasn't the Star Wars thing good? Something that just came out recently?
Ahsoka?
Yeah, wasn't that good?
It was fine. It wasn't like incredible, but it was.
Can I interject again? Isn't it just riding the goodwill of seeing Hayden back and like people? He's resurrected from the dead and like he actually can play Vader. So like it's like a pat on the back, like well done, son, like type vibe.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like don't know how much you can beat that story with like beat it like a dead horse, where it's just like fucking. Okay, how much more are we gonna go through Skywalker shit? Right? I've seen the story about Darth Vader, like explore different parts of the universe. There's like a lot of richness to the Star Wars universe that you can flush out, but it's like you keep focusing on the same fucking characters all the time. It just gets boring. Same with Marvel. They just keep up putting out shit content. I heard Miss Marvel or the Marvels or whatever, this newest movie they put out was dog shit. Yeah, I heard it's like the worst fucking movie that they put out. So I don't know. They're at like a crossroads where it's what do you just putting out content isn't enough anymore. You want to put out good shit. Second bust, unless anyone other has any other thoughts. Big pet peeve of mine. I don't know why it fucking irks me so much, but I was just on a plane 2 weeks ago. When people stand up and like walk in the aisles, like you get up and there's a deep planing process, right? Each aisle goes one at a time. But like people that like stand up and then walk all the way down, it's like, what are you doing, dude? Don't you know? Don't you have any sort of
mid-flight?
No. And so planes landed. You're deplaning at this point. Right, people that like stand up, take their bag, and then walk to the front without waiting for the process of each row like exits first.
Oh yeah,
that's god awful. Brian's looking at me because he does that.
No.
I've actually. It feels like rare behavior. You don't see people do it very often. I've seen it
happen much more post-COVID. Now that I've like flown a bunch after COVID, it's like these people just don't have any respect for rules or like. You know, basic social understanding of like,
it's like
wait for your damn turn.
It's an angst that I need to get the fuck out of here because people like claustrophobia sets in and the mask rule. Like once you're off, sometimes you can take the mask that you could before. Like so, I don't know. It's
okay. I can understand it from that thing.
But there's always been people like that too, so that disproves my argument.
It's just like how much time are you saving, right? It's like you're just doing it to be a dick.
You're not.
You consider that they have connecting flights.
I consider that as well too.
It's never the case, dude.
I know.
You see them at the baggage claim, and they're like, "Oh, well done. You got 30 seconds."
Exactly. So now my thing is, I get up and I stand up in the middle of the aisle as soon as I can, and I just stand there, even if there's people no one in front of me. I'm just like, no, why, dude? It's like, no,
everybody's looking around. This guy follows the rules. This guy's a great guy, dude.
The worst part is he's the type of guy who reclines his chair all the way and doesn't ask if it's okay.
That's fucking dumb, dude. Why would you have to ask? You have to recline your chair. Oh, excuse me, sir. You like look behind you.
A little bit is okay. If you're going very far, I feel that you should always turn around.
Dude, the seats recline like this much. They don't even recline that much.
No, I don't ask. I gotta say, I'm guilty of that.
They're making us angry at each other. We should be angry at the plane corporations for packing us like sardines.
I'm not asking you to ask. Just like look and like give like a nod.
I'd be confused if someone did that to me. It's annoying when I'm eating and
Like,
people have their seat reclined. If like I'm
yeah,
going on an international flight and the seat is reclined, then it's like, okay, come on, there's no room over here. But that's why the
yeah.
hostesses go around and ask you, like, hey, sir, it's eating time. Please de-recline your seat.
I don't recall
So
that happening. I feel like we're all just human beings who are usually courteous, but I guess like people in here are
Courtesy
not
is
very
dead,
courteous.
Sebastian. You should know
No,
better.
no. I think
Not in your heart. Is that what you're
if
about to
you
say? Not in my heart.
if you give out courtesy, you receive courtesy back.
Yeah.
do you have hot takes on the so say you're in the middle seat, do you deserve both armrests
Yes,
or do you just get
you
one? Okay,
probably
yeah.
do.
You
I
deserve prime on both, and then if someone wants to slip in underneath,
Prime? You deserve
yeah,
prime on both?
no,
Yeah,
like
if you're
you
in the
should
middle seat,
prime
yeah.
positioning on both, and if someone can fit underneath, then so be it from
Yeah,
on
like
either
your
No.
side.
arms like
Like,
up
no, I
against it.
I
yeah,
don't know about
I don't
prime.
know. I'm just like a one person thing. If my arm's on it, keep your fucking arm off. Like I don't really want to be touching
I
this
never
random
choose the
person.
middle seat anyway. I'm always choosing the
It-
optional.
it-
So it doesn't
there's
even
a-
matter.
Sometimes
there's
you're
a,
stuck
like
with the middle
sometimes
seat.
you get it. Yeah,
there's like a size assessment that also has to happen. Like if the person in the middle is quite small, I'm probably not going to be super open with them having both armrests.
damn, it seems pretty alpha.
I've once gotten into a jousting match. So usually when I
It
fly
happens
from
often.
in India or something like that, they don't really follow those same kind of social norms of like, oh, you wait to deplane or like I was like fucking jousting a guy for armchair. It's like, dude, I'm sitting in the middle. Get your fucking arm off, bro. And then, no, he didn't listen. I was fucking nudging him hard. So
That's the worst when I've had that happen. It's so
Oh, dude.
awkward. It's like we both know what we're doing.
Why are you guys so alpha on planes, dude? Fucking
I'm just
coming
angry,
in
trying to get to my
hot, dude. Coming
destination.
in hot, dude.
Probably sauced
Depends.
as fuck too.
Yeah, and it does greatly depend on that
Reeking
aspect.
of
Yeah, yeah,
booze,
yeah,
just
yeah.
snatching the sky, dude.
Yeah.
It was way worse like a decade ago.
Um, okay, so then I will say one Bool. There's a new documentary that just was released on HBO Max. It's about
Ooh.
Ice Age America.
Oh
I
no,
don't know if you
I
watched that one,
can't-
but yeah, they go into deep about how the records being pushed back in terms of when humans first migrated to the Americas. There's a site in central Mexico that could be like 30,000 years old. They found that place in White Sands where they found like 20,000 years old. So really good, 10 out of 10. Good job, HBO
All right.
Max. So that's cool.
I thought you were going to talk about the one about the cult.
Which one?
It's called
The Twin Flames one or the one about
Mother
the
God.
Mother God, yeah.
Yeah.
She was drinking colloidal silver or whatever, and the
Yeah,
bitch
she
turned
turned-
fucking silver, dude. Damn.
Big
Crazy.
fan of that one.
Okay, it's to me.
Yeah.
Finish off, and then Brian, you had song of the week, right? Or unless Arjun, do you have a pressing
No,
one?
no more. No.
Okay, so
That's it.
so I was actually I was fiddling around during Arjun's one, and you were talking about the Star Wars stuff before I go to mine. Have you read this one? It's
Oh
from
yeah,
your youth.
from back in the day.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like,
dude.
do you if you and remember anything? It's like, it's the story of how Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon become master and apprentice.
Yeah.
And originally, Qui-Gon doesn't want anything to do with Obi-Wan, and because of his former trauma with his past Jedi apprentice who became evil, Sonatos or something. So like, that's a story that's untapped. They should get into that. That's all I'm saying. Like, there's cool stories like that too. I don't know.
Yeah. When Disney got control of Star Wars, they like made stuff canon versus non-canon. But I feel like a lot of the like from the book series, because the books are fucking sick, right? They really fleshed out the story pretty well in those. So I'm hoping they just go back to the basics, right? There's a lot of cool, like what you're talking about, they can do.
Yeah. Okay. So my Bool, I went to a recent Mexican place in our area called Holy Moly. You guys are familiar?
Oh, my parents love that place.
So I got a horchata smoothie. Well, first of all, the cash register guy was just one of the most stressed people I've ever seen, and like was a little bit. He looked like he could have been anywhere from 16 to like 24, but just was aggressively nice, or not even nice, just aggressive, and then backed it up with a little bit of niceness, and I was angry and like repeating orders. And then at the end, he took an order from like a group of like 10 guys, and he took a tip of like 20 or something. And then one of the guys offers him weed, and he's like, I can't smoke weed right now, but I'll take it. And then just hand off a mug to him, and he for later. And I'm like, all right, man, I guess this is what we are in 2023. But
That's hype.
what I got was the horchata smoothie. frozen smoothie, and it was fantastic, worth the price of admission by itself. Like one of the best things, like dessert things I've had. But I guess what is kind of a bust is that, or what I find busty is when taco places don't adequately sauce or salsa their tacos.
Seconded.
Yeah, like, you can't just be arrogant and say, oh, we're going to put some meat and a bunch of onions and a tortilla and we don't need anything else. Like, I think you need to have that wetness component, and so many people overlook it. They gave me some like shitty ass salsa and it didn't do anything, and no lime or anything like that. Like, I feel like you need to hit that wetness component. So a little pseudo bust, but I would go back just for the horchata smoothie.
The wetness component.
Yeah, you can apply. It's a new algorithm John Hollinger is working out. The wetness component, yeah, MBA. So, Steves, you mentioned that one of your previous busts is coming back. I was thinking about it, and one of my previous busts is now becoming a bull. And
Yeah,
it's
same here. Yeah,
kids on electric scooters and bikes, all around, running all around
No,
in
That's
Irvine.
not bull. How's
And
that
Become
bull?
bull?
Hear me out. Okay, when you think about it, each one of those kids running around on or biking around on one of those bikes would be a car that their parents are taking them to karate or little Billy's practice or playing basketball or something. And so when they can do it on these scooters, as long as there's like some sort of structure, they're actually helping traffic. And so I'm okay in that respect. So like,
this is a reach.
and
I'd have to say, oh my God.
you see, like I went to CVS and there's literally like 8 to 12 bikes parked around, and you think
Very ridiculous.
it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous, but
Very
in a
Irvine.
world where the problem is it's unregulated. If it's regulated and they actually have to follow the rules and stuff, I think it could be good for Irvine, because you're already complaining about traffic, dude. Culver can be a pain in the ass
True.
when you go at like prime time. So like if they can get any cars off the road, if we can get a metro or bus system going on, it could be better for us in the long term. That's all I'm saying. So a little bit of
Get the
character
you can get the
growth
cars
for me.
off the road, but you just got all these shit kids, dude.
I think we'd have
get
to
rid of the shit
characterize it
kids, man.
as a potential future bull. If they
Yes.
properly regulate it, a potential future bull. It's not a bull yet, because I genuinely, every time I go to that plaza with the CVS, I almost run over at least like 2 kids on those scooters because they just cut in front of cars without looking.
So let me give you a little scenario. I'm going over to Siebes's, gonna watch the fight at Siebes's. Instead of jumping in my car, I get in my electric bike and I run over it. And one, I can drink and not worry about it, and two,
Well, that's
I'm
not
taking a
entirely
car
true.
off.
It's not entirely true. You can still get
That's true.
What?
You can still get
I
a
think it
DUI
makes it-
while riding a
yeah,
bike.
Can you?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, especially a
an
motor one.
electric one.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like
All
it's
the
hazy.
motorcycle-
Litigation is yet to be
motorcycle
done.
companies drink and drive.
Those
That's
things
what-
aren't
that's
cheap
you.
either, which is why it's surprising all the kids have them. They're not cheap.
Yeah, it's
dude. They're
Irvine.
like
Irvine, it's
three,
Yeah, they're right.
three
Well,
plus
okay,
K,
Ashton,
you
do you
know?
truly think Lil Johnny, fucking 10-year-old kid's gonna be taking his electric bike to taekwondo or soccer practice? Like, I think that is that a thing?
I think they
or-
could. He could, like, let's say we always used to practice at Lakeside, right? And we couldn't do it from our house, or we used to go to the Boys and Girls Club right around those areas. Little Billy can take his electric bike down Yale all the way back, come back with his sports bag on his back, and it's not a car on the road on Yale, you know.
True. How far is it though? That's kind of far.
It's like 2 or 3 miles, man.
Realistically, Lil Billy's going to ride his bike to the creek to smoke some weed or some shit.
Doing wheelies on the creek.
Yeah, they can't catch him, dude. That's what's really
Yeah, I feel
happening,
like
dude.
giving 10-year-olds that much autonomy is a very slippery slope where you're just going to have 10-year-olds doing wild shit because their parents aren't supervising them.
Yeah, need some regulation. So that was I have 2 bulls, I guess, in one sub bust, and then we're gonna pass it to Brian for song of the week.
Yeah, song of the week is just I've been on a funk kick as I usually am. Not too much explanation. I don't really know too much about the artist, but it's a song called "Not One of Us" by Slump. Just been listening to a bunch. Really cool song to listen to while you're kind of just cruising at night. So, "Not One of Us" by Slump.
This isn't Brazilian funk, is it?
No,
It's
no, no.
not funk.
Yeah, funk. Yeah.
Pho. Yeah. Funk. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Arjun, for joining this week. Siebes
All right,
and
thanks for
Brian,
having
as
me.
always. Yeah, next week we'll have to do something for the 25th. I'm cooking up something, but
It's crazy. That's
yeah.
kind of wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
6 months plus. Well done, guys. And once again, thanks, guys. Talk to you guys next week.
All right, peace.
Peace.
I pulled the F out of my dog. She thought I was pulling my cock out. If you touch one of us, we bust you. Little bit of shit get shot down. You're not one of us. I do not trust you, did, especially not now. Young nigga come through spinning the swing and shit. It's an outside playground. Yeah, Supermarket playground. We gone, 85 northbound. Yes, sir. It's me go business. We divided the field like tennis. We shook up the trenches. Moving the tennis and still trapping in it. It's a handout 50. I stack it up, double up spending. When the rest too skinny, I can make some squeeze a million. When the rest too skinny, I can make some squeeze a million. When the rest too skinny, I can make some squeeze a million. When the rest too skinny, I can make some squeeze a million. When the rest too skinny, I can make some squeeze a million. When the rest too skinny, dropped out of school, beat down the door, bust it down and we full. Come out the denim, the patches below. I send them, they spin them, don't go back and forth. I got a stick, this bitch take down a horse. Basketball season to work like a court. Get your spit, get your put in the morning. Big body matching with basketball court. Trying to hold him up, my thumb was soft. Just look at the bitch and I know I'm a score. 200 cash with a mag in my drawer. I'm pulling string like I played a guitar. Take us the max, we ready for war. We ready, we spend every day with them cut up my shit. I spend in the letters, he sent to the medic. My money comes steady. Somebody die, only way I can get it.